In the Dragon Ball franchise, Beerus and Frieza are two of the most powerful and intimidating characters ever introduced. In both of their respective story arcs, they served as an insurmountable obstacle that our characters had to fight in order to overcome. In the case of Frieza, it was only through sheer luck, determination, a lot of plot armor, and the power of Toriyama's pen on their side in order for them to overcome him. Whereas in the case of Beerus, Goku still wasn't able to beat him even after getting the biggest power-up he ever received by that point. But did you know that Beerus and Frieza actually fought at one point in the past? Well, when did this happen, and how exactly did it go down? Well, in this video, I'm going to discuss that. So the source of this information comes directly from the source itself, the original creator, Akira Toriyama, in Volume F, a guidebook for Resurrection F. During this interview, Akira Toriyama talked about Beerus' relationship with Frieza, and what he said was, "Even Frieza is no match for the god of destruction Beerus, no matter what he does. Since they both destroy stuff, they got along reasonably well. But one time, Frieza had his clock cleaned when he got carried away and made Beerus angry." So the question becomes, how exactly did this go down? And was this really a straight up fight, or more of Beerus just flexing his power? So first off, we need to talk about when this happened. And I think it's pretty clear that this must have happened before the destruction of Planet Vegeta, because of the fact that according to other interviews with Akira Toriyama and the Battle of Gods movie, Beerus went to sleep shortly before Frieza destroyed Planet Vegeta. In fact, it was Beerus who told Frieza to do it in the first place, or at least authorized him to, which means that this must have happened before the main Dragon Ball story occurred, in the years leading up to the destruction of Planet Vegeta. Now, it naturally makes sense that Beerus and Frieza would have had a relationship. As I talked about in this video here, how did King Cold know about Beerus and Majin Buu? After all, Frieza was the Emperor of the Universe, where he went around conquering planets and destroying others that didn't go along with what he wanted. Naturally, from what we know about Beerus, he's a pretty lazy character who doesn't really like to go around and do his job that often. So with Frieza being around and capable of basically doing his job for him, it only makes sense that they got along. Although obviously Beerus was far more powerful than Frieza could even comprehend, with Frieza's full power being a fraction of a percent of Beerus's. So of course, Beerus was the one who was in control. But knowing Frieza and his incredible arrogance and desire to be the strongest above all, and never to be told what to do, it makes sense that at some point in time, he must have objected to something that Beerus said, or perhaps got a little bit too cocky while he was talking, saying that he was the most powerful, or perhaps that one day Beerus would bow to him. Naturally, Beerus didn't like that too much, and according to Akira Toriyama, cleaned Frieza's clock. But was this simply Beerus slapping Frieza in the back of the head, or maybe punching him one time just to show him who's boss? Or was it an actual fight, launching a flurry of different moves, and maybe even transforming once or twice along the way? This is something that Toriyama leaves up in the air for us to speculate about. But knowing Frieza, I find it really difficult to believe that Beerus just hit him one time and Frieza's ego would allow himself to sit down and just take it. After all, when we look back at the fight between Frieza and the far superior Super Saiyan Goku, even after Frieza was utterly defeated, his power waning, and him not really being a true threat to Goku in the sense of being able to fight him and defeat him through sheer power alone, he still refused to just sit down and take it, and decided to go after Goku multiple times. The first time by throwing his own version of a Kienzan or Destructo Disc at Goku, which inevitably led to Frieza being chopped up by his own technique. But then after Goku gave Frieza his own energy, he still wasn't through, and decided to attack Goku from behind, leading to what at the time was supposed to be his death. But naturally he survived, even though he got blasted and then was inside of a planet that exploded. But whatever, that's Frieza for you. But even after all that, it still wasn't enough for Frieza, who was repaired and upgraded by King Cold and his men, to become Mecha Frieza. And what did he do then? Well, of course, he went to the Earth in an effort to wipe out the population and fight Goku, thinking that he could win. Naturally, he couldn't, being killed by Trunks in the main timeline and Goku in the original. So for me, I find it hard to believe that Beerus just slapped Frieza once and he didn't get back up and try to fight. Frieza wasn't really subservient to anyone, even his own father, electing not to bring him back in Resurrection F because he didn't want to listen to his commands. So I don't think that he would just get hit once by Beerus and then just bow down before him and say, "I'm sorry, master, you could do whatever you want." Although perhaps Beerus just knocked him unconscious and Frieza woke up afterward, wondering what even happened. But the fact that Frieza got taken out by Beerus one time does kind of retroactively affect his character. Because naturally, when we go back to Dragon Ball Z, Frieza constantly says that he's the most powerful in the universe. And not only does he say it, but the narrator Toriyama is the one saying it too. That he's the emperor of the universe, and the strongest obstacle that Goku and his friends must overcome. Now naturally, this is because Toriyama didn't think of Beerus or anyone more powerful than Frieza at the time. So within the context of the original continuity, it makes sense that Frieza believed himself to be the most powerful. At least until the next arc when the android showed up, or the arc after that in which Deborah and Supreme Kai showed up, and then of course Battle of Gods, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball GT, and so on. But still, it definitely takes away from Frieza and his prominence in the story, that he not only knows that someone more powerful than him existed at the time like Beerus, but also that he was afraid of a Super Saiyan rising up to defeat him, when after all, he already had a direct relationship with someone that he knew for a fact could easily defeat him. But that's just something that Toriyama has been known for doing, especially in recent years. Even in this own interview, he talks about being able to mess around with the continuity because he's the original author. While at the same time, I feel like that he probably should have kept in mind that being the original author, it's probably a good idea to uphold that continuity rather than messing around with it in the first place. But then again, it seems like he was surprised that Toei even accepted his script without any real revisions. And they're the ones who made a movie with Frieza saying a line like,
"If I train in earnest for the next 4 months, yes, I could reach a power level of 1.3 million!
Which a lot of Dragon Ball Super fans are still trying to justify and do mental gymnastics to make sense of it rather than just accepting it was a poorly written line that makes no sense. But you do think that if this was something that really happened in the past and it wasn't just Toriyama making something up off the top of his head, it probably would have been factored into the story at some point. Whereas the only thing that we really get resembling this is Frieza being afraid of Beerus being around. Which again was another issue with Resurrection F, considering that Beerus and Whis standing right there took away a lot of the tension of Frieza's arrival and trying to defeat Goku and Vegeta. But with all that being said, the question is, will Frieza and Beerus fight again? And if they do, how would Frieza even do this time? Well, despite the fact that Frieza has trained for years at this point, not only for the 4 months, but then all the time that he trained when he was in Hell, the truth is he would still get easily defeated by Beerus at this point. There's arguments to be made that even Goku with his Ultra Instinct still can't defeat Beerus. And even if he can, that's a big difference between Golden Frieza and Ultra Instinct Goku. Unless they reintroduce Frieza with some other giant power-up like Platinum Frieza or even Diamond, or whatever Pokemon generation he's playing at the time. Either way, I think that Beerus would pretty easily beat Frieza, and maybe this time around erase him from existence so he can never come back again. But hey, maybe if Frieza trained for 400 years, he would have a chance. So this was the time that Beerus fought Frieza. Let me know your own thoughts down below in the comments. Make sure to subscribe and enable all notifications so you can stay up to date with all of my videos. Thanks for watching, and make sure to stick around because there's a lot more to come in the future.
Yeah, and you better subscribe.